back with another exciting episode, part 2 of Myco. Go, go, go. Whoa. And we're basically picking up right after I got done cooking the grain. I already poured out most of my grain water into this bowl, and when it cools off, I'm going to dump it through this makeshift filter I made into this empty distilled water jug, and I'm going to save that grain water, and I'm going to show you guys how to make liquid culture using grain water instead of LME or corn syrup or honey or sorghum or whatever. And quickly, before I get kicked off of this live chat again, I'm going to show you how you can tell that your popcorn is perfectly hydrated. I also only lost like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 7 grains got a little bit mushed. That's not many, that's a pretty good rate of success if you ask me. Just having that many grains go bad, like 6 or 7, that's pretty good, All right, so the way you can tell that it's perfectly hydrated is you take a pretty healthy, intact piece of grain after you're done cooking it and try to squeeze it. You can't really squeeze it with your fingers. It's really hard to squeeze, right? That's good. Then you bite it. You can bite into it. It's just a little bit crunchy, but you can bite into it easy enough. Perfectly hydrated. That's what you want. I don't feel like eating that, but that's one way you can tell it's perfectly hydrated. You can also see it's a lot plumper looking than when you start out, when you just pull it out of the bag. It's really hot. It's still steamy. Like when I shake it really good, I can still see a little bit of steam coming out. That's good. It means it's surface drying. The steam itself and the fact that it's hot, makes those atoms go all vibrating, and it's going to carry that extra surface moisture off of these grains. That's what we want. So every several minutes, you could say every 10 minutes or so, we're going to come back and kind of just shake them up a bit. Try to get some of those grains on the bottom closer to the top, and the ones on the top closer to the bottom. Oh no, I dropped one little kernel. Now, one way you could speed this up is just like I said, you could take a clean enough looking box, and you can line it with paper towels. You don't have to, but just take a clean enough looking cardboard box. You could dump your grain out on that, and it gives it more surface area to dry out on instead of just being a bunch of wet, hot grain piled on top of more grain that you got to keep mixing and stirring and stuff. Usually I do have a bunch of spare clean cardboard boxes that I can use for whatever, right? If you notice any mushed grains, you can eat them or pick them out and throw them in the trash. Just having a few burst grains isn't going to make a difference. You don't want too many though, because like I said, if there's a whole bunch of burst grains in here, it'll cause them all to stick together and cause clumping, and then that prevents proper pasteurization or sterilization, which isn't what we want. We want it to be properly pasteurized or sterilized so that we can use it and not worry about any potential contaminants. So once it's surface dry, we're going to, which it's already almost there. I can pick up a grain and feel there's no moisture on it. I can take some from the very bottom, and there's still barely any moisture on it, but I'm going to give it a little bit longer to just give it, get it good and dry. And then we'll take a piece of paper towel or a piece of tissue paper or whatever, napkin, it doesn't matter. Just take a little piece of paper, something like that, drop a few grains in your hand. And if it's super wet, it's not ready yet. If there's barely any wet spots, it's fine. You can use it. It's ready. You can also wait until there's just no wet spots, but that's a bit excessive. If you ask me, you don't want to wait around all day just to jar up your grain and get it cooking if it's not necessary. You just don't want a whole bunch of excess water when you jar them up, because that excess water, it'll go out back into the jar when you cook it. And then when you're done cooking it, either way, when you're done cooking it, you're going to want to give the jars a hot shake while they're still pretty good and warm. You want to tighten the lid down, kind of shake it up to get the grain to soak up that excess moisture while it cools down. Sup, bro? I'm back. Why didn't you get kicked off the stream? I don't know. Dude, I had to restart 3 times and then delete the old video that it wouldn't even let me record, but it said I did. Yeah, I don't know. I'm right by the Wi-Fi router, and we have like fiber optic cable internet, you know, like the high speed data and all that. I don't know. As you can see, though, we have some well-hydrated popcorn, and it's ready to cook in jar. It's ready to put in jars pretty soon, about 3/4. You don't want to fill your jars all the way up because these might still absorb some moisture and grow a little bit more, and every grain grows a little bit more, and that's going to take up room in your jar. So you definitely don't want to fill your jars too full because eventually you're going to have to shake them up. And if they're so full you can't break and shake, then you're going to have to open it up and break it up with like a clean spoon or something, and that's a whole lot of extra crap that you don't want to have to get into, because then it brings in potential contamination vectors. You don't really want to have to open up the jars or bags of your sterilized grain at all until your grain is completely colonized. When your grain's completely colonized, then it's okay to open your jars and your bags and stuff without worrying too much about contamination. But no matter what, that's always going to be a concern. It's always going to be something that's going to have to be in the back of your mind. Contamination. My hands are clean. I'm just going to take my hand and kind of scoop some from the bottom. Bring them up because I don't want to drop a bunch of grain. Kind of shake it up. Do this other one. This one's got a lot more grain. Still pretty hot. It's not so hot that it's burning me, but it's hot enough that I'm like, ooh, that's hot. That's spicy. If I find any little tiny pieces of smush grain, I'll just eat it or throw it away. There's not much. It's mostly all intact grain. I have very few burst grain. That's good. I'm happy with how it turned out, especially considering I've never actually used popcorn. I like to try all the grains, you know, eventually. I actually started out with rice, and it took a while before I realized that, you can't even use white rice because like it'll grow on it, but it won't fruit. There's not enough nutrition. It won't derive enough nutrition from white rice. Like it'll grow on it just fine and it'll look great. Will it fruit when you spawn it to a mono tub or fruit, or put it in an all-in-one grow bag, or however you're going to spawn it out? If you're using white rice, chances are you won't get any. You might get one little tiny, there's not enough nutrition in white rice apparently. It's too white, too devoid of nutrients. Here I'm using yellow corn, but there's all types of corn of different kinds and varieties and sizes and shapes and colors. And so I'd like to try to experiment with some different kind of corn and then do some side-by-side, see if there's any corn out there that happens to work better than another kind of corn. There's all kinds of corn out there. There's this stuff called tiny but mighty. It's just popcorn. This is really tiny little bitty popcorn kernels, and they're supposed to, like, when they cook, they pop. They're supposed to like incinerate the whole, so you don't end up having like a bunch of those little sharp shell little hole fit pieces in your gums and stick in your teeth and stuff. Yeah, honestly, I wasn't even going to start the second part of the video yet, but because I kept getting kicked off the live stream and then trying to restart it, and I was about to just give up, man. Like, this is my third time doing it. So far, it seems to be fine right now, but I wasn't going to start the second part of the video until after I had gotten these put in the jars and then started cooking. And then I was gonna pick up the second video when I'm like about done cooking, you know, but like, oh well, like sometimes shit just happens the way it does, and you just have to do what you can when you can't plan accordingly, right? Like you just gotta go with the flow sometimes and try to hope for the best, which is what I'm doing right now. This is not how I intended to do these videos. I'm finding little pieces of messed up grain here and there, but the good majority of it is all intact. I'm happy. Completely happy with how it turned out. Looks well hydrated. Now, rice requires a slightly different preparation, just for the fact that it's super starchy. And as soon as you're done cooking your rice, you have to rinse it with cold water to not only stop it from cooking right away, because you don't want to overcook it. You do not want to use mushy rice to grow mushrooms. It's going to be, well, for one thing, it just looks gross. Even if it works, and if it, you know, it's just, you don't want to work with mushy grains. It looks bad. It can cause contamination. It creates more risk, more room for error. So yeah, with rice, you want to rinse off all the starch. As soon as you're done cooking it, you dump it out, rinse it right away with cold water to stop it from cooking. That's one reason you stop it from cooking right away, by rinsing it with cold water. And two, you're rinsing off the starch. Because if you leave that starch on it, you try bagging it up or jarring it up, it's all going to stick together and clump together like cement. You're going to have like you're going to be like solid rocks of clumps of rice in your jars. And that's not only going to make it harder to sterilize, it's going to make it hard to break and shake when you inoculate it with mycelium later. So like all negatives, you know what I mean? So, there goes one. Man down. Man down. I'm going to do this one second since there's more grain and it's going to take just a little bit longer. Like it's pretty much there. It's pretty much ready. There's not much surface moisture. Even if you dig down, there's like none. So while that one's still just barely dry, you know, it's just barely a little bit wet on the surface. This stuff is pretty much ready. I don't feel there's no moisture. You know, I'll do my tissue paper towel test just to make everyone feel happy. You know, everyone likes to see that little tricky trick, right? Paper towel. I'm gonna take a handful of grains, right? Just gonna drop them on there. Whoops, man down, dropped another one. Here I am wasting grain. Just gonna count to 10. 1, 2. Do I see any moisture? Zero moisture. Perfect. Ready to jar up. Even if it had just a few spots, that'd be fine. I already put aluminium foil on me jars. Modded jar lids. Adjust the camera a bit so you guys can actually see. Now you could like take a spoon or a ladle or whatever and do it. I'm just gonna do it by hand, okay? Is that okay with you guys? Do it the more primitive way with my bare hands. Just so primitive. Almost makes me hungry. I don't know why. I just ate. It's just because I'm working with popcorn. I like popcorn. That ain't working as well. I'm gonna consider that 3/4. You need a little bit of space. You don't need too much. You need a little bit of space so you can shake it up and break it up. All this and that and this and that. All right. That's one jar. You don't really want to tighten these down. You can put them on. Just don't tighten the lid down. If you're using an unmodified lid, then you'll want to take this part and flip it upside down so that there's no rubber seal, because it can create a vacuum and end up just sealing it. You don't want that. So if you're using a lid that doesn't have holes in it, it's not modified, it's just the lid, flip it around so that the rubber part is not making contact with the jar. I'll show you how to do that with the one jar that I'm using just for grain to grain. But because these are modded, I don't need to do that. They have holes in them. But I am going to leave them loose so that they can properly sterilize. Oh, wait. I'm supposed to fill that, y'all. Hopefully I'm still connected. Like last time it kicked me off. You guys still on the stream? Is anybody out there? Let me know if I'm still coming through all right. You're good, bro. I can see you. Yes, we're here. Awesome. I'm glad I'm still coming through because I swear this is like the third time I had to. I mean, third time's a charm, right? But I swear it was like 3 times I had to redo it, and it kept saying like reconnect to start your live stream back up again. And I'm like, well, how do I do that? I don't know. Like, someone tell me. I had to just end it. I had to end the stream, delete the video that it never even let me record, redo the title and everything again, and all description and all that, and then just start another video. And then I had to do it again because it still wouldn't work. And then it finally worked, so thank God for that. The struggle is real. Swear to God. All right, now that this one's empty, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this one underneath. Set this jar in, the empty one. Do what I was doing, just in reverse. There we go. I've been doing a lot of reading lately in the stuff that I wouldn't normally be reading into because I'm trying to find inspiration for my story. So I'm reading and studying stuff that I feel like I'm already somewhat sort of inspired by, but don't really know as much about. I mean, there's always more research that can be done, right? That and inspiration can really come from anywhere, at any time, in any place, in any way, shape, or form, really. But like a lot of people don't know that there's a lot of books to the Lord of the Rings series that, that they don't even know about because they never made it to film. There's a good few of them now. One of them might actually get a film adaptation pretty soon because of the rights the rights were finally sold to one of the books that one of Tolkien's kids finished for him after 40 years. It was 40 years long after Tolkien died. His son picked up a lot of the unfinished books and compilations and notes and stuff and tried to compile them all into like a book called the Silmarillion. And yeah, for a long time, Peter Jackson wanted to get the rights to make a movie to that. And Chris Tolkien wouldn't let him. But he died, and now Tolkien's other kids, or other still living family members, are a little more, they feel differently about it, I guess, you know. So there might be another Lord of the Rings adaptation coming out. Who knows when? It's not even confirmed yet. They still got to make it, even if they get the approval. But I did just start watching the show that they came out with called Rings of Power. Of course, I'm just watching reactions of other people watching it, you know, on YouTube for free. Still cool, though. I don't care if it's a smaller screen or not. Still get into it. May end up having enough for a whole nother jar. See, that stuff really does expand when you hydrate it. You know something I never watched, but I know Terrence, you watched it, that they're coming out with a new, like, that they're bringing back Malcolm in the Middle. I never really watched that, but it's coming out again. Is like they're all grown up now or something. I figured I'd mention that in case you wanted to check it out. You probably already know about it. I think you're the one that told me that the dad from Malcolm in the Middle is the same guy that plays Walter White in Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston. Wasn't he the dad in Malcolm in the Middle? You told me that, I'm pretty sure, because I never watched Malcolm in the Middle. I know you did. I guess I was more into like Even Stevens or Drake and Josh and stuff like that, I guess. Here's my little jar for grain to grain. And like I said, we're going to flip the lid. You don't want the rubber to make a seal with the jar. The vacuum will seal it. And if you don't want it to, that's why you flip it. You're also going to leave it loose, and we put the foil mainly to keep extra moisture from dripping down on these modified lids because they have this filter patch. Moisture. Because these filter patches, if they absorb too much moisture, then they're no longer effective. They can get a little bit wet, but they need to dry out like right away, because if they don't, then they're no longer going to be effective. It's just one of those things. Better safe than sorry. So I'm going to use my aluminum. And I want these jars just finger tight, right? That means just tight enough to turn the jar. You want the aluminum to be loose, but you want it to be covering the top, the very top. So finger tight, right? And then when you put them in there, you might even want to loosen it just a little bit more than that. You want some like wiggle room. You want the steam to be able to go up in here, not just through the filter patch and the other, like, you want the steam and the heat to go in there to do its job. Trust me. So you want to leave the lid loose. Oh, not that loose. It helps tighten it down all the way first and then just pop it open. It's loose. All right, so now I got my jars. I actually have enough for like a whole nother jar. I don't know, I'm debating whether or not I want another jar of popcorn or half jar. I really didn't think I would end up having that much extra. Let me go do a quick inventory of my jars. I'll take y'all with me. Let's see what I got to work with. I heard it was really good. I used to love that show. What, Malcolm in the Middle? So, yes, they do have a new one, Malcolm in the Middle. Yep, the dad is the guy that plays Walter White. Breaking Bad was so dope. Yeah, it was a pretty cool show. It's a cool show. I don't fuck with dope, meth, and all that, but it's a cool show regardless, you know. It was a well-done show. All right, here's my jar lids. Here's me jars. I have some extra jar lids, modded jar lids. These ones have polyfill. Yeah, it'd be a good time to try out the polyfill. See how that, never actually used polyfill, but I wanted to show that it could be done, so I'm going to use it. Someone just jumped in the chat and then jumped immediately out. I wonder if it was you know who. Anyway. Oh, also, I wanted to point out real quick something I found out, because like I showed in the previous video how to mod these lids, right? I did not show how to mod these plastic ones the same way, right? Like I showed how to do it basically, but the problem with these plastic lids, right, is they're thick. Yeah, I said it. Thick. Anyway, because they're thicker than the metal lids, you have to put a whole nother piece of silicone on the bottom part of the hole right after putting it on the top part, and you want them to like adhere together. You want to create like a two-sided plug basically. The bottom side can be much flatter, but you want the middle part to make contact with the little bit of silicone that does make it through the hole through the top. If you don't, and you just do the top part, it's not going to adhere to the lid very well, even when it's cured, and it can just pop right off, and you don't want that. So the fix for that is to make sure with these plastic ones, because they're so thick compared to the metal ones, put some on the bottom too and flatten it out. Make sure it makes contact with the other silicone. With the metal lids, it's not really necessary because they're thin, and the silicone makes it through that hole enough to really adhere, and it just adheres. It adheres better to these metal lids. So be aware. I left the jar up there. I'm just going to leave the stream. Excuse me. I'm going to leave the stream here and go grab the jar. Or I lose my signal again. Alrighty, after everybody. Get this show on my road. Grab the aluminium. I only intended to do 4 in like a quarter or a half or whatever you want to call it. Since I got so much extra popcorn, I don't like to waste stuff if I don't have to. I'm just gonna use it. Maybe I'll just get more jarred later. Regardless of that fact, I'm still gonna be doing some liquid culture. That'll probably be my next video before finishing up the next cook tomorrow on the popcorn grain spawn. Just trying to clean up some of the polyfill that's just. Yeah, so my next video will probably be showing you guys how to make liquid culture using the grain water that I collected today. All right, I don't want to do it. So yeah, how did you guys like my the popcorn method? Is very interesting. Yeah, it is, ain't it? Like you could take any kind of grain pretty much. As far as I can tell, you could take any kind of grain, anything that grew from anything that was at one time a grass, or any kind of grain, which grains grow from grass. A lot of them have been selectively bred to have really big grains and grow really big grass, but like it's just grass. You know what I mean? Like corn is grass. It grows grains. We selectively bred it from a little grass with little grains. If I wanted to take the time, I could probably go out here and pick wild grass greens. It'd take forever, allow them to dry, and then use those just like I'm using this popcorn. But that's a lot of work, you know what I mean? And maybe one day just to show that it can be done, I might do that. Just to show like, hey, you can do this. It's possible. It's a lot of freaking work, but hey, you can do it. So that was like almost the whole jar worth, really. Better not to waste. This could be another grain to grain, just like this jar. Oh yeah, how did you guys like that new character that I developed, the lion character? I thought he was pretty cool. He's one of my favorite. Well, I keep saying this every time I make a new character, but he's like one of my favorite characters now, and I developed the whole backstory for him and everything. And yeah, he's based on a lion's mane mushroom. All right, my grain water, I wouldn't say is cold, but it has cooled down significantly. So I'm going to attempt to filter my grain water and put it away so I can use it later. I highly suggest you put a big piece of tape over your cap and everything, and even take a big Sharpie and write, "Don't drink. This is grain water," Do whatever you got to do so that your kids or your guests don't drink grain water because it's nasty. It doesn't taste good. Oh, shit. My filter. You can filter as you're using it instead of doing it before you pour it in here. Like you could pour it all in here and then filter when you're pouring it out to use for your stuff. But I just like to get that process out of the way first, so I know it's already done. I don't have to remember to do it later. It can take some time. It can be a tedious process, but it's all worth it in the end. You don't have to buy when you don't have to buy like light malt extract or bacteriological peptone or potato flakes or any kind of nutrient source. You can just use this stuff. Same thing, man. Even better, it's even better because you're using the same stuff that you're using the same grain nutrient that it's going to be growing on anyway. So it's all the mycelium is already going to be trained to know how to produce the right chemical cocktail, the right metabolites in order to digest this grain the most efficiently. It's already going to have figured that out when it's been growing on this liquid culture, and then you inoculate it to the same grain. It's going to pick up really fast because it isn't going to have a shock period where it has to sit there and figure out which chemicals do I now need to learn how to make to most efficiently digest and absorb the nutrients of this specific grain, the specific nutrient in this grain. It's taking forever. It doesn't even look that dirty. It does have some sediment in one spot, but usually doesn't take this long. Anyway, so like while that's doing its thing, let's go do another boring thing that I'm going to do. See, this is stuff that I was going to be doing intermediately, like as before, like this was going to be stuff I was going to do and then start the part 2 again. Like after, like I got to clean this out really quick in my tub. And I'm just going to bring you guys along with me for fear of losing the stream again. Like I was just going to pick up after having cleaned the pot and everything else and having stuff ready, but because of how getting kicked out of the stream early and all that, now I'm going to be showing all this boring stuff, like cleaning this pot and jarring up the grain and getting it loaded and all that. However, I'm probably not going to show the whole cooking process, because it takes 2 hours, but I will explain in detail what I'm going to do after I get it going on the pot. Like what I'm going to do once it's done cooking. Here's some geodes I found that I've been cleaning up in my tub. I don't know how well they show up on the camera, but they're pretty bling bling. They're pretty shiny. Some geodes and stuff. This one's pretty big. I've been scrubbing them with an old toothbrush. And I say all that because my tub's kind of dirty right now because I've been cleaning geodes. But it's okay because I'm really good at cleaning my tub. When I'm done, it's not going to look dirty at all. It's going to look brand spanking new. I'm pretty good at cleaning stuff. Just like right now, I'm going to take my microfiber mitt, this pot, and some dish soap, and I'm going to clean it out real quick. So I was just cooking popcorn in here. Now I got to stick the jars in and cook them, but I don't want to put them in here with all this popcorn residue and stuff. You know what I mean? There's still like 4 or 5 grains in here. You need to pull them out. Now it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be 100% sterile and clean. You ain't got to worry about all that. I just don't want a bunch of crap and residue and stuff in here that will end up on the outside of my jars and then maybe lead to some contamination in the future because there's this residue on my jars from the popcorn grain that I was cooking in the same pot. So I'm just going to stop talking and get to it. Try to make this quick. Like I said, this wasn't going to be part of the stream, But I'm afraid to even stop it now and then try to pick up later because of getting kicked off several times when I tried to restart the video. Oh no, I'm out of dish soap. I'm not out, I just gotta grab some more. Un momento. How's everyone doing in the chat? This popcorn. Oh wait, I already read that. Have you ever written a book before? Me? No. I mean, I've written a lot of creative essays and stuff like that. I've written sort of make believe what if scenarios for movies and stuff like that out of nowhere, but um I've always been kind of creative, but not to the degree that I am now. And I honestly think it's because I hit my head and my memory's a little jacked up now because of it. Which is why I believe brain damage can be both a blessing and a curse, and that it can jostle your thoughts and your memory and your brain waves up a bit, but it also kind of stimulates some other part of your brain that maybe you weren't using to its full capacity. Like, have you ever heard of savantism? There's people who are born savants, usually autistic savants, and they have like at least one thing they're like really good at, you know. But then there's also cases of accidental savantism where someone gets some severe brain damage and then they end up becoming a great artist or a great pianist or a great mathematician or whatever. Like suddenly, like it might just change their personality, you know, completely. I think I have a very mild case of accidental savantism, but not quite savantism. I think it just getting hit in the head sparked that creative part of my brain to kind of go in that direction. If that makes sense. So now I have much more capacity for that part of my brain than I already did. But there's a trade-off, you know. My memory's not as good either. It's not necessarily. It's more like the sequence of things that's a little messed up. Like I can't remember exactly when things took place, but I remember that they did. You know. Seems like there's always some kind of trade-off. There's a song I like called "Trade-Off" by Flatbush Zombies. You get zombies at all? Michi Darko, Zombie Juice, Eric the Architect. They be rapping about psychedelics and shit. It's cool. I liked them before I even knew that. But then when I found that, I was like, oh, hell yeah, that's what's up. They be rapping about psychedelics. That's cool. I also saw them in an episode of Tales from the Trip. It's like these animated videos where celebrities and famous people tell their story about like the first time they did mushrooms or just a crazy experience that they had on some kind of psychedelic or something. Instead of Tales from the Crypt, it's called Tales from the Trip. It's on a channel on YouTube called Animated. It's pretty cool. It's fucking funny, really. Most of them are pretty funny. Especially the ones where it's like a comedian telling their story. Oh yeah, Flatbush Zombies. I know, man. Waldo showed me them years ago. Yeah. The first time I ever got led to some shit like that, I think it was because I was listening to the Underachievers, and they have some connection with the Underachievers have some connection with Flatbush. I think they're from the same area or something like that. I could be wrong. They're both from like the Flatbush area. So yeah, like I keep saying, I was gonna not even show this part for the stream. This was just going to be like the in between me doing the videos. That I was not gonna be showing this part, but because of the technical difficulties I've been having with doing live streams today, I'm afraid to like end this one and try to start a new one, and then it doesn't let me or something. But like I said, I'm not going to show the whole cook process. I'm just going to explain in detail what I'm going to do once it's done cooking after 2 hours. But I'm going to show up until I at least get it in the pot, and probably even up until I get it like to a good simmer. You want to get it boiling, just like when you start hydrating the popcorn, you want to get the water boiling pretty good. Maybe even wait like a couple minutes after it's already boiling, then turn it down to a good simmer again. And then that's when you start your timer for 2 hours. And then after that, you let them cool down just a little bit. You don't want to let them get cool with the lids ajar like they are, because once they cool to room temperature, they will eventually start to create a vacuum and then pull air into them. Of course, we're going to be doing another cook anyway in 24 hours, so that's not super necessary this time around. But then tomorrow when I do my last cook on them, I'm going to for sure want to make dang sure that I do a hot shake, which is while the grain's done cooking but still hot. I want to tighten those jar lids and shake them up. And then what you're supposed to do is set them in your still air box, your glove box, or in front of your laminar flow hood if you got one while it's running already, and let them cool off there. You don't want to let them cool off on your counter or wherever, do the smart thing. Because just in case they still kind of create somewhat of a vacuum and start sucking air into the jar, you want it to be in the most sterile place you could possibly have it when it starts doing that, So in your still air box, or even in a clean tote, with the lid on it, or whatever you can do. Do what you can do. You guys got any questions so far, or anything? About anything? About anything at all? I'm done cleaning now, I just gotta rinse it out. I know I take forever, but at least I do a good job cleaning it. Plus I get distracted when I'm talking. My thoughts. I always end up using a pot like this for doing my grain, like cooking my grain. Like I used to have a pressure canner for the sterilizing part, but I used to always use a pot like this, just like this, except for it didn't have these ridges. I like these granite ware pots. They have like this enamel or whatever, but they're also just big, nice pots. And they come with lids, and they're great for cooking a bunch of grain in. They work really nice. Of course, once that enamel starts wearing off, they get rusty. All right. Let's go. Mamma mia, let's go. Do-do-do-do.
Well, I ain't believing they cut that down over there.
Yeah, I know. I just can't. Just can't even. They have never done it before. All right, so I'm getting my water hot before I even start putting it in the pot. It gets it cooking quicker. That water is warming up. I'm gonna take these rings, put them in here, make my little makeshift trivet. Don't ever want to cook with your jars at the bottom of the pot. They'll just break. It'll all beef or not. Now, since we got the grain in jars, we can just use regular tap water to put in here. The distilled water is what I had to hydrate these with. These have absorbed the distilled water. Now they're in these jars. All right, so I got enough water in here to be just above the trivet, just a little bit. It's going to boil out, some of it's going to boil out. And we're going to be doing another cook in 24 hours once this is done anyway. So, whatever. Water is just above the trivet. We're going to go ahead and put it on the stove. And I've never really heard anyone else say that this is super important, but I think it is to center your stuff on the coil as good as you can, your pot. Get it centered as well as you can. You want it to cook evenly. Get your trivet centered, you don't want it like all far to one side. Get everything centered. Get yourself centered. Do what you got to do. All right, got my first jar. Loose lid. Finger tight, and then maybe just a quarter turn less. Keep it loose. You want it on there, but you want it loose. There's one. Uno. Dos. Trace. Cuatro. Cinco. Six. Our last one. The green to green. The little bitty. And it's okay if you notice there's a tiny, tiny bit of excess moisture. It's okay because these grains are still going to absorb a little bit. Believe it or not. That's why you don't want to cook them all the way when you're hydrating them, just most of the way. Just like with the rice or pretty much any other grain. You don't want it cooked all the way before you end up trying to sterilize or pasteurize it because it's going to be cooked a little bit more. once you understand all these processes, it kind of clicks, once you start doing it, you're like, oh, I see why now. It all makes sense once you start doing it. It all becomes clear. Oh, you know what? I meant to go ahead and already have this on, and I did not. Whoops. Oh, well. All right, our jars are in there. Lid going on. Bring it to a high boil, and then once it gets boiling, count a couple more minutes. You can say 5 minutes. After it starts boiling, then turn it back down to a good simmer. For me, that's like 6. For most people, it seems like that's like a 5, but with my stove, it's like on 6 for a decent simmer. Can't hear anything at all. What about now? May need to reset your internet before doing your next stream, bros. Damn. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble today. I'm the only one even using the internet. Dang. What about now? Is it better now? Should I try to restart it? Dang. Dang. Can't hear anything at all. Dang. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with the internet today. That's just bogus. I don't know. Let me know if it gets any better or not. I might just end the stream and then pick it up and then let y'all know what happened in the next stream when I pick up. I wasn't going to be streaming much longer either way. I'm just going to get this going and then be like, okay, I'm setting a timer for 2 hours and then I'm going to let it cool, and that's that for today. Unless I end up doing liquid culture later today. I guess it's almost 7. I'll probably do liquid culture and the last popcorn video tomorrow. Like I could probably do the liquid culture and then do the popcorn after, since I have to wait 24 hours at least. What about now? Can y'all hear me now? Is the stream still streaming? Can you still hear me? Are y'all still there? Did y'all get kicked out of the stream? Just heard something drop that was weird. A bit old. This stuff still ain't finished draining through here. I don't even know why. It's crazy. Maybe it created like it needs air pocket or something. Maybe I should take like a safety pin or something. Create the tiniest little hole. Trying to think. I know I have a toothpick. Are y'all able to hear me? I hope so. It doesn't say anything about like I'm losing a signal or anything. Be right back. BRB. So a lot of people say because of the fact that this popcorn is food grade, it's made for human consumption, you shouldn't so much have to worry about endospores. You can just cook it for 2 hours like I'm about to do, and it can be ready to inoculate after that, after it's done cooling, of course, down to room temperature. Uh, and people are successful doing that. But I like to be extra careful sometimes, especially when I'm this low on money, and I don't have a whole lot of room for error if I want anything to work out. So I'm gonna try to eliminate any potential room for like messing everything up if I can. So I'm gonna do another cook tomorrow. Basically, like I keep saying, utilizing the fractional pasteurization, otherwise known as tyndallization, to kill off any endospores after they germinate. That's my hope. That's what we're going for. And that's why I'm going to do another cook tomorrow after it has cooled off and sat for 24 hours. And then I'll do another hour and a half to 2 hour cook on it. And then once it cools down, then I'm going to deem it ready for inoculation. All right. We're at a good boil. I'm going to wait just 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to wait until it's 6:53. I'm going to wait until 6:55. And then I'm going to turn it down to a simmer and start my timer. For 2 hours. You can probably hear the trivet kind of like moving around a little bit, like the jar is kind of. It's at a good boil right now, but I'm about to turn it back down to a simmer. When you get it to simmer, that's when you start your timer. Trying to get this drain water to drain. I had to basically poke a really small hole in it. Now it's draining, still pretty slow. So now I'm going to take this whole other filter. I've actually never had an issue with collecting drain water quite like this. But I'm not too worried about it. I will get my grain water one way or another and sediment free. Okay, the time, 1 more minute. Still can't hear me? We can't hear. That's a new message, right? You still can't hear me, can you? That's terrible. I don't know. I didn't mute it. Muted. Now it should be back. It even shows that it's registering that the microphone can hear me. It's showing the sound move when I talk. Ah! Ah! Yeah, it's doing a thing showing that the sound is, at least it's registering on the microphone. I don't know why. Okay, now I'm going to turn it down. It's been like 2 or 3 minutes at a good boil. Whew. Now remember, if you end up, and you do want to check it every now and then, make sure you're not running too low on water. And if you need to add more water, heat it up on the stove. Get it boiling hot before you add it in there. Otherwise, you're going to shatter your jars. You do not take cold water and pour it into a boiling hot pot full of glass jars. It will cause thermal shock. They will break, if not explode. You don't want that. So heat your water up. If you got to add more water to your pot, you may already want to have some ready to heat up in a in a pot on the stove. Earlier, I had to heat up a little bit of water to add it to the popcorn that I was trying to hydrate. So I had to take some more distilled water, pour a little bit in that pot, heat it up, and then I poured it in the big pot. Not because it'll shatter my popcorn that's not even in jars, but because it'll mess up the cook time. You know, it cools the water off. I didn't want that, so I added already boiling hot water to it. Aluminum foil away. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. I hope it fixed. It's going to be terrible if I end this video and go back and realize that like half of it, there was just no audio and it's just me moving my lips and you can't even hear me. All right, now I'm finally ready to pour more grain water in my makeshift filter thing. You can see at the bottom of this bowl, it's like cloudy. It's got some sediment in it. And it's still going to have a little bit, you know, but not near as much once you filter it through a coffee filter. You don't even really have to do that. You don't have to filter out the sediment. You can keep the sediment in there. Maybe that is good. I just don't like to see all the cloudy shit when I use it to make liquid poultry. You know what I mean? You're still going to have plenty of nutrient stuff in it. You're still going to be able to use it as grain water. You may need to turn it down just below a 6 for this. It's still boiling pretty good. I don't want it to be at a rolling boil, just a good simmer. Yeah, it's boiling pretty good. I'm going to see if it doesn't turn. I turned it down a little bit. Hopefully that's enough. We'll see. I'm going to keep an eye on it. Now that I turned it down, even though it's not quite down to a simmer yet, I can go ahead and start my timer for 2 hours. So let's see. 6:58. I'm just going to call that 7. Who cares about 2 minutes? I'm going to say it's 7 now. So 8, 9. It will be done at 9. So yeah, 2 hours and 1 minute will be 9 o'clock. And it'll be done. And then I'm going to shut it off. Leave them in there. And once they cool down enough that I can handle them with gloves on or oven mitts, you know, like I don't want them to be cool, right? I want them to still be pretty good and warm, if not hot, because I'm going to tighten down the lid. It doesn't have to be super tight, but I'm going to tighten the lid and I'm going to shake them up, hot shake them. And I could just leave them in the pot till tomorrow since I'm going to cook them again. But because I want to do liquid culture before I cook them again tomorrow, I'm probably going to take them out of the pot and put them in my my glove box, my still air box to cool down. And then, yeah, tomorrow at 9, or I could even say tomorrow at 7 or 9. Doesn't really matter. I mean, I already heated it up once. It's heating up again, right? But I want to allow enough time for those endospores to germinate, 24 hours. Hopefully by 7 tomorrow. If not, maybe I will wait until 8 or 9. I don't like doing videos that late all the time, but I mean, I can. And then I'll do another cook, Can hear you now, broski. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that audio picked up for the video, like for the recording part. I don't, because otherwise I've been giving out all this information to nobody, unless you know how to read lips. Crap. So this and other struggles with trying to YouTube. Live stream. You guys got any questions at all? maybe there's something I already covered, but you guys didn't hear. So like, I don't know. Or maybe you just have any questions about anything. As soon as this is done cooking, pretty soon I'm just going to end the video. But I was trying to let the audience know that um, when it's done cooking, how I'm going to go about like what I'm going to do after. Since I'm going to be cooking it again tomorrow in 24 hours, but I'm going to be probably be doing a liquid culture before that using the same pot. I'm just going to take these jars while they're still warm, still pretty hot, and I'm going to shake them up, give them a hot shake. So hopefully they'll reabsorb any excess moisture that ends up leaching out back into the jar. You want to give it a good hot shake, tighten those lids down, and then give them a good quick hot shake. You don't have to be crazy about it. Just shake them up a bit, quick shake after you tighten down the lids. Then go put them in front of your laminar flow hood that's already running, or you put them in your still air box to cool down. Or if you're going to cook them again like I am, you can leave them in the pot. But the reason I'm not is because I'm going to be making liquid culture before I do another cook for these same jars. Did you answer when I asked when and how you hit your head? Yeah, I thought I told you guys about, or maybe it was just Terrence. I hit my head on an air conditioner. It was mounted into a brick wall. I was picking up trash. They got blown from our neighbor's dumpster. Like there was so much trash in and around their dumpster that there were just bags stacked outside of it. You know what I mean? Then these raccoons dug into the trash and kind of just got trash everywhere. Then the next day, and I know they were raccoons. I saw them getting in the trash. I've seen them digging in the trash, raccoons. And they tear up the trash bags that were outside of the dumpster. Then it's windy the next day, and then trash gets blown everywhere, even all the way over to my mom's whole nother apartment building. So I'm out there picking up trash. I end up standing up, not remembering that I'm right below a fucking big-ass air conditioner that's mounted into this brick wall. It did not move when I hit my head on it, but my brain moved. That air conditioner did not. And I almost knocked myself out. I've hit my head pretty good on the concrete, on the street. I used to skateboard. I used to ride my four-wheeler. I used to ride my bicycle and ramp stuff. I've hit my head pretty good number of times in my life. I've never dazed myself like that. I've never almost knocked myself out, anything like that. But that day, hitting my head on the air conditioner right on the corner and in just the right spot on the top of my head, it almost knocked me out. I had to go lay down and go take a nap right after, which is not what you're supposed to do if you think you're concussed. You're not supposed to go take a nap. It's like, for whatever reason, it's like what you don't want to do. That is what I did. Still boiling pretty good. So let's turn it down just a tiny bit more. Still above 4, but it's in between 4 and 5. We'll see what that does. You don't want to boil the crap. You don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to caramelize the sugar, any sugar content that's within the grain, or especially if you're doing like drippy corn tech where you add more syrup or more sugar, like corn syrup or whatever. I'm just not going to be able to filter this grain water as efficiently. It's all right. The sediment shouldn't matter. It just makes it look nasty is all. Doesn't necessarily make it contaminated. It just makes it look like it could be, But you should always test your liquid culture on agar anyway before you use it. Yeah, I'm doing all this stuff today because I just now got my email confirmation confirming that I have some liquid culture on the way. Not spore swabs. This company only does liquid culture, but that's okay because I get some mushrooms growing on this. If I'm able to get some spores, then I can make a spore print and I can show how to start from spores too. You know, liquid culture is faster anyway, and then eventually I will be able to get spores and then show you how to do that too. Show you guys not only how to make your own spore print or your own spore swab or spore or whatever, and also show you guys how to use it. Excuse me. I haven't had any soda for a couple of days, and then we just went to the grocery store, so I just chugged a Dr. Pepper, and now I keep burping. Still boiling pretty good. It should be at a simmer. I don't want to boil. I don't want a rolling boil. I just want a really good simmer. All right, now we're down to a 4. Let's see if that does it. Liquid culture. Seems like a good majority of the sediment is staying near the bottom anyway, so if I just don't pour the last little bit, should be fine. There'll still be a lot less sediment. And like I keep saying, if you do end up with a little bit of sediment in there, it's okay. It just makes it look a little nasty, a little icky ick. Damn. Yeah, I know. Damn. But like I keep saying, there's a trade-off with everything. So like, yeah, I hit my head. Yeah, I have some memory problems, but I also have the ability to think creatively in a way I never really had the capacity to do so before. So, I mean, it's both a negative. It's both a negative and a positive thing. At least that's the way I'm trying to look at it, right? Like there's a silver lining. It may even be better that way. Like, what if I end up actually publishing my book and it picks up and I get like, what if I became a really good writer? That would be awesome, and I actually make money off of it or whatever. That'd be cool. More than anything, I'd just like to get people interested in doing their own thing. But if I become successful doing it too, that would be awesome. And I could blame it all on my brain damage. I got hit in the head. And now I can write stories and stuff. Not that I promote going out there and trying to give yourself brain damage. Don't do that. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. Ever. All right. Now that it's starting to get down to a simmer-ish. Careful not to get a face full of steam. Yeah. That's a really low boil to a high simmer. For now I'm going to leave it at that. And if I feel like I need to turn it down a bit in a little bit, I will. But essentially, I already got my timer going, and it'll be done at 9. I think, yeah, at 9. It'll be done at 9. And like I said, I'm not going to continue doing this video for that whole length of time, but I did want to explain real quick where everyone could hear what I'm going to do once it's done cooking, and there's going to be a part 2, or I guess this is part 2. There's going to be a part 3 tomorrow of this because I'm using fractional tyndallization, fractional pasteurization, tyndallization. I don't know. I like that word. It's a cool word. Tyndallization. I don't get to use it for anything else. Got my rubber bands. A lot of people have like a a sealer, like this thing that, I forget what you call it, an induction sealer. No, that ain't right. Maybe it is a sealer, a thing for sealing your vacuum bags or your grain bags or whatever. I've never done that. You know, I had one at one time, but you can't. For one thing, you need a laminar flow hood, or it's very highly recommended to have a laminar flow hood if you're going to be opening your bags all the way up and filling them full of air and then sealing them and stuff like that. I've never done that because I've never had a laminar flow hood. And I only ever had one of those sealers at one point in my life because I had found one dumpster diving and it just happened to work. And I'm like, cool. But I never really used it because I'm so used to working in my glove box, my still air box with these grain bags, and to seal them, I just put a rubber band around them really tight. Like I fold the top over itself and in a little bit, and then I just really tight put a rubber band around it. It creates an airtight seal. Like I've never had an issue. Obviously, you want to put it on there as tight as you can with the rubber band without breaking the rubber band. And it works just fine. I'm very slowly and carefully pouring my liquid culture, trying to leave as much sediment behind as I can. I'm about done. And then I'm going to tape this up, label it, grain water, don't touch, don't drink it, tape the lid on, and date it. Write the date on there. You want to know how old it is. I don't even know, really, honestly, I can't tell you how long it lasts before it goes bad. I always usually use it right away, but I've never really tried keeping it for long just for fear of it like fermenting or something like that. I'm pretty sure once it starts to ferment, if it does, I don't even know if it would. But once it, like, if it does ferment and start to smell like alcohol or something like that, you're definitely not going to be able to use it to grow mushrooms with. So if one day you go to open your grain water and it smells like alcohol, like booze, I wouldn't use it. I'll probably just kill whatever you're trying to use it for. Any mushroom mycelium or otherwise in the alcohol content would probably just kill it. I know it sounds like it's boiling, but once you look at it, you can see it's really not. It's bubbling a bit, but not aggressively. It's not an aggressive rolling boil. It's just a high simmer. You can have it at a medium, anywhere from a medium to high simmer, and that's just fine. I like to do a little bit higher on the end of the simmer rather than a lower simmer, but really medium, it's fine. I wouldn't recommend doing like a really low simmer. You're trying to kill stuff with the heat, but you're also not trying to overcook it, right? There's a balance to maintain with everything. So it's 7:14. I'm gonna allow, I don't know, a few more minutes just in case you guys have any questions, and then I'm gonna call it, and then we'll pick up tomorrow when I do some liquid culture using the grain water, and then after that, later on that day, I'll do another video showing. It'll be the third part of the popcorn grain, showing how to finish that up, because I'm going to cook it at least one more time. Plenty of people say that you don't have to. There's at least one or two cultivators on YouTube that did mention having problems with endospores, even with popcorn. And like I said, I've never used popcorn, so I'm going to be more safe than sorry and go the extra mile and allow any potential contamination like the heat-resistant endospores to germinate, make them vulnerable, heat them up again, kill them, and then it should be good to use as spawn. Hopefully. That's how it was all explained to me. So by following that logic, it should turn out successful. But we'll all find out together, right? I'm going to be showing everything on this channel, fail or success. And then we're going to like find out why it was a success or a failure. Either way, we're going to, use the process of elimination, go back through, retrace our steps and find out what went wrong. I don't know. Let's think about it. Let's, like I said, retrace your steps. Try to see what could have gone wrong. What did you do differently this time? What did you do that could have brought any kind of variance to the